Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Welcome back to the podcast, my friends. I have a second-time guest with me today. I think you might be my first ever second-time guest, Lauree, on the podcast. Welcome in, Lauree Arnold. I'm so excited for this conversation. We did an episode maybe it might have been about a year ago or not even, but a couple episodes back, talking about the power of reducing alcohol in your life and eliminating it and what happens. And Lauree talked about her incredible journey of stopping drinking. And she is a coach who does that. You want to talk a little bit about what you do, and then we're going to dive into the other part of your life that I'm so excited for you to share. So just share for a minute what you do in terms of coaching.
Absolutely. So I love to think of myself as an alcohol-free empowerment coach. My work is really around that identity of working with, high-performing women who have careers, they've got great jobs, they've got great lives, everything feels together. But when it comes to alcohol, or when it comes to drinking, they're really negotiating with themselves. So my work is really helping them to break that cycle, doing that nervous system work. And then also just by really shifting how they see themselves and how they see their life and becoming the woman that no longer needs alcohol anymore.
So we talked about that on the previous episode, but what was so cool is Lauree was sharing on Instagram stories a post about all the impact that's had on her life. What has happened as she's let go of drinking? And one of the things she posted was that she said, within the last 10 years, I went from bankruptcy to millionaire. I said, Lauree, we got to talk about this, because Lauree's also been in the money manifestation movement. We've been working together for a while, and even going further back, I was lucky enough to be your coach instructor at Coach Training. And so we've known each other a while, and I've never heard this full story. So I was like, rather than me messaging you, diving in, asking you all the things, let's get you back on the podcast and let's talk about this, because I know there's a lot of listeners that are going through financial hardship right now, right? Maybe they are carrying a lot of debt, or maybe they've gone through bankruptcy and they're working through that and they are thinking, I want to create a new reality for myself. Or maybe they're thinking, God, is it even possible? And you are such an example of what's possible. I got chills just seeing your post. So I was like, okay, we need to talk about this, because I want to dive in to hear the mindset of the before, the shifts that happened, the after, the advice that you would give to people who are going through financial hardship, and really just to be an example that whatever you're going through right now isn't permanent. You could literally be in a completely different place 10 years from now. 5 years from now, 1 year from now, honestly, a week from now, you can. We were just talking about that with one of my clients who last week was getting coached and in all the drama. And then this week celebrating all these wins. I'm like, wait a minute, weren't you ready to quit everything a week ago? So, a lot can change. And so, Lauree, thank you for coming on and sharing your story. So if you're open to it, I would love to go back in time. And if you could share and take us back to the moment where things felt the hardest for you financially, what did that look like for you?
It would be more than 10 years ago. I think just before in 2016, I actually got discharged from bankruptcy. And it was 2012 where I had to obviously apply to become bankrupt. And at the time, I was going through a really messy divorce. There were there were family court issues going on. We had an unfinished house at the time. So there was unfinished renovations. You couldn't sell it without the renovations. It just felt like everything was closing in on me, particularly because of everything that was going on. And so I wasn't sleeping. I had insomnia. I ended up quitting my job at the time and I was in a leadership role and I was really, really struggling. So I was just making all these decisions that, when you look back, you go, oh, that probably wasn't so bright. But in the moment, it felt like the only decision that I could make. And I didn't have any of the tools that we've got now. I didn't know anything about coaching. I had never done any work around self-development. Someone had told me back then that your thoughts create your reality, I would have laughed in their face. So I'm like, what? What do you mean your thoughts create your results? Don't be ridiculous.
I have thoughts? What does that even mean? Right, for sure. What's a thought?
My kids created it. My boss created it. Like, what is going on? So 2012 was definitely the heaviest time of my life. And at that point, I think I was about maybe 32, 33, and it wasn't my first divorce either. So it was my second. So there was even more pressure that I was putting on myself because I was also beating myself up at the same time. Everything just, this massive wild storm of life decided to just go. Decided the cyclone of Lauree's life will just work, just be here right now.
Right. So if someone were to look back at your life at that time, if they were just observing you then, what do you think they would have assumed about your future? Just having looked at you, seen what you're going through, what would they have thought?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure people were literally scratching their head going, what are you doing? You've just quit this amazing job with 6 figures. You're not going anywhere. You're drinking all the time. You're avoiding your child support matters. You're avoiding, you're not showing up in your life. And I think people would have probably assumed like, she'll do this again. She'll repeat this again, or I don't see how she's going to get out of this.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't think people would have thought I would have been able to grow through it and past it. So yeah, I would love to have seen myself being a fly on the wall back in my own life, and I know I would have been scratching my head.
Yeah. So now you have created $1 million net worth just 10 years after being discharged from that. So what about your life looks and feels surreal today that maybe the version of you 10 years ago moving forward would have been absolutely mind blown?
Yeah, she certainly wouldn't have seen multiple 6 figures as an income for herself. She would have hoped to have had some investments. She would have hoped that it was possible for her, but she wouldn't have believed, seeing her past, how she grew up, these two big divorces that she'd had, the ripple effect of all of that. She would not have dreamed in a million years that she would actually get to $1 million. She would just be hoping and praying. And of course, we know where hoping and praying gets us. Doesn't always get us to the result that we want. But yeah, she was hoping.
Wow. Yeah. So was there a moment that things shifted for you? Or would you say it was like a series of moments? Do you remember back? Did you make a decision? How did this evolution at least get kickstarted?
It was definitely a series of decisions. And I remember thinking to myself when I was knee deep in a bottle of red wine, trying to find the answers at the bottom of that. What is going on with my life? Why does this keep happening to me? Looking up to the stars, hoping that something would like pop out magically and say, this is what's happening. And when I really circled back and looked at everything that was going on in my life, I just had this sudden realization. It's like, oh, I'm the common denominator going on here. This is on me. This is like, I can look at the husband and I can change the husband, but it doesn't change the result.
Yeah. So there was an awareness of like a self-responsibility of like, maybe I need to look within. I need to look at what's going on, what's created this. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was a huge realization that and this is before coaching, that I was creating what was happening in my life, or I was, at least 50% of me in that relationship was creating it. So I had to take 100% responsibility for where I was at. So yeah, radical self-responsibility, I think, was the first kind of step. But it would be another maybe 6 or 7 years before life coaching kind of found me. And that's where things really started to change, was obviously around that awareness piece and what my thoughts were creating. And also, I think the biggest part for me was emotion. I hadn't grown up with someone who role modeled what it looked like to be able to emotionally regulate. I didn't even know what really emotions were. They were just things that just happened. And I think that's what life coaching really taught me, was the tools around awareness and your feelings, your emotions actually creating the next, your behavior pattern. So that was a big aha for me to learn that. And, I was 40 years old before I learned that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, what perfect timing. Right? And like, what a gift. What a gift. Some people never learn it. So it's like, oh, so much gratitude for that. Okay. So when you started learning that your thoughts are creating your reality and that your emotions have so much to do with this whole everything, I'm curious, like, looking back, what do you think some of the thoughts were that created the debt and that created the situation previously that you weren't aware of at the time, but maybe now in hindsight, you're like, this is what created it? And it could be behaviors, thoughts, feelings, behaviors. Like, what was the model that got you into that place?
Yeah, I definitely would not have recognized a thought as a thought. Even when I look back now, I recognize the behavior, I recognize the pattern, but I don't necessarily know what the thought was driving it. I just know that my patterns were coming from subconscious beliefs around, what I saw mirrored. What I saw, I suppose, in my childhood is, I saw my mum struggling with debt. I saw my mum struggling with income. I saw her, I heard her talking about people being filthy rich, that the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So there was kind of always the story. It was a lot of what I saw and then just took on very, very subconsciously, did not even recognize it happening. And I remember I think it was 2021, Jamie, when I joined your very first mastermind outside of coach certification. And I remember you coaching me and you were like, who taught you that? And my whole brain just shut down. And yeah, even now it makes me emotional because it was like this massive aha that, oh my gosh, I took on so many beliefs from my childhood and had no idea they were actually even at play.
Right. Totally. Yeah. It just feels like it just feels real. It feels like truth. It feels like reality.
100%.
Yeah.
And then the following year when I did trauma certification, that's when it really kind of like hit me like, wow, I have some really funky beliefs going on. And every time I want to challenge them, my protector jumps in place and goes, nope, we're not going there. That's going to probably hurt. That's going to be too painful. Let's not go there. And so that was another piece of work outside of money beliefs that I had to really work on, was being in conversation with my parts and really trying to give them safety around it's okay to think new things, it's okay to feel new things, and therefore it's actually okay to also behave differently to how we might have in the past.
Wow. Okay. So I want to slow that down because this is amazing right here. I think this is so important because there are so many listeners who feel like, okay, I have some awareness around my money beliefs, or I notice this is the pattern that I grew up with and I'm not creating the results that I want, but I don't know how to change it. I always hear people say, it feels deep in my bones. I feel like it's in my subconscious. I don't know, even though my conscious mind wants to believe something new. I do not know how to get my being on board with a new, more freeing, more abundant way of thinking because this feels so ingrained. So you touched on it with the trauma certification and doing some of that work. What would you say to someone who is struggling with shifting out of old belief patterns and it just, they feel really stuck in it? They feel like they've been trying to thought swap for a long time and it's not working.
Yeah, and that's really what I recognize is like I could not think my way through it. No matter how much I tried, I could not, it just didn't, it wouldn't fit. It was like, getting a jacket on halfway and your arms just rejecting it because it doesn't feel right. And so a lot of the tools that I had to learn was all around that self-soothing piece. I didn't enjoy meditation, hated meditation. A high achiever who has to learn how to be still. That was like lying on shards of glass for me. So I had to learn a lot of new tools to help me be with my thoughts, to really feel all the way through them, and create safety. It was all around that safety piece for me. As a high achiever, I often thought that if I didn't achieve something and didn't do it the way that everyone else did it, then I'm going to be punished for not doing it the right way. And so I thought I could just think my way through it. Let's think.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. And so when I gave myself permission to try something new, let's just see what meditation feels like for a little bit. And I just grew around grounding techniques that I learned through trauma that really helped me to soothe the part of me that wanted more, but felt like she wasn't allowed it. Yeah, and that definitely just came from my childhood and these almost locked beliefs. Yeah, that I've finally been able to just crack open a little bit at a time. But high achiever's worst nightmare, I have to be patient.
It's true.
No. What do you mean I have to feel my way through this or I have to try something new? It's an awful feeling for a high achiever who just wants to have the thought, get a new thought, try it on, make it work, magically get
Truck through. Yep. So how did you do it? You did it.
Yeah, frustrating when I see other people just take on a thought and run with it. I'm like, why not me? But this has been the most beautiful part of the journey is unlocking more of who I am, because I think if I had have rushed past it, I would have missed all the good parts, which feel like when you're in them. But I have so much more appreciation, I suppose, for the journey now that I feel like I've popped through the other side because of what I learned. And you can't rush that.
I think that right there is just so powerful because probably every single listener, I know I have a lot of high achievers listening, they're like, why is this taking so long? When we're in it, it feels like it's taking forever. And you stuck with it, Laura. I mean, and this is what's wild. It's like, it feels like forever, but look at how much your life has changed in 10 years. Like 10 years is not that long to go from bankruptcy to millionaire, to go from where you were to completely not drinking anymore, having this amazing, well-paid career, with the life that you have with your husband and the business that you have and you being able to help. I mean, 10 years, it's like, that's massive. Talk about like an entire transformation. But what I'm curious about for those that are also feeling so impatient, I know a lot of people feel that around business because business can be built on a pile of fails. It can feel like you're just failing forward, learning from it, working through it. And then all of a sudden, hey, how did I get here? 10 years? Wait, this happened? Oh my gosh, when you really look back. So how do you practice patience as a high achiever?
Oh, good question. My goodness, I don't even know where to answer that one. Oh, how do you practice patience? I think patience is like boring, is the emotion of boring. So I remember, I think it might have been Brooke Castillo said, your thought is not a feeling, it's a thought. I'm like, oh, I think patience is exactly the same. Like, like I'm trying to get there faster, but I'm feeling impatient. But yeah, I think it's almost the same as boring. When we can learn to almost be a friend of boredom, of patience, and recognize where we're trying to run past it. I'm a runner. I've always been a runner. So slowing down hasn't always come naturally. And that's where grounding tools come into play. When I turn inward versus trying to race to the finish line, that's when I get the most magic happen.
Wow. Yeah. That's awesome. So good. And you've obviously mastered that, even though it's still not comfortable through this journey. You've had to master it if you were willing to keep going. So I think that's really the key, is like, it's almost like patience is your superpower, learning to feel patient, even though there's a big part of you that's impatient, but learning to be with that part of you, but continue slowing down, continue taking the smaller steps, continuing to ease your way into it. That's your superpower, is learning to hold space for that. So I think that's huge. And I think that could be something for everyone to hear, because what if learning to slow down and learning to be with impatience is actually the key to speeding up? Like you said, look at what you've gained in such a short amount of time. And this is something I used to always think is like the fastest way to speed up is to slow down, which sounds wild, but it's true. It's true. You're going to grow the most through that.
I remember 2 or 3 years ago, when Brooke was still doing her podcast, she had one about boredom. And it was a practice, learning to sit with boredom. And, it was like putting your timer on for 5 minutes and literally doing nothing, turning all your notifications on and not responding to anything. So you had to, just look around and just be with yourself for 5 minutes. I remember timing myself and getting to about 1 and noticing I wanted to get up and get a glass of water. Or I wanted to go to the toilet, or I wanted to, I'm hungry. And so that was such a good practice for me, to learn how to slow down, was just in these little 1 minute, well, they were 5 minute bursts she taught. But even if I could get to a minute, and then a minute and a half, and then 2, and then stretch that out, and eventually that's now I do meditation. Well, not meditation, but like breath work. I can do that for an hour 20 and feel like I've been in there for 5 minutes.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. And you teach it too now, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Amazing. This is going to be a practice I want to give my impatient clients. I love this. This is so
they're not going to like it.
I know they won't, but guess what? Look at who they can become by doing it. Can be like Lauree Arnold.
But it's like anything, right, Jamie? Like, it's just a practice. So we have to have that beginner's mindset. And you taught me this right at the very beginning of certification. It's like high achievers just want to I want to achieve. I want to make Jamie proud, and I want to make my mum proud, and I want to make everyone else proud. But the reality is, all of our power lies in that beginner's mindset. All of it does. And so learning to slow down is no different than learning to drive.
So good. So good. I want to talk a little bit about the identity shifts and the way that you've shifted your relationship with money. So how would you say your relationship with receiving changed? Did it?
100%. I did this visualization maybe 3-4 years ago, and he talked about imagine yourself in your favorite place, and imagine money sitting next to you or lying next to you. I was on a beach. Money was this massive, huge giant. I was this little person in my visualization, and money was just this massive, massive giant. It was really dark. It was really big. It was really heavy. It almost felt like it was a real big bully. And so my relationship with money felt like that. It felt like there was no possible way I could ever meet money. It was always going to be big. So I gave it a lot of weight. And so that the identity that I had to unlock there was not giving so much power to money, and unlocking the success, money equals success. And I know we coached a lot on that. Is every time I had money issues, it was always because I was linking it to success. And if I didn't have money and I wasn't success, then that meant I wasn't worthy. It came down to that worthiness piece.
Yes. So how do you see it now? Yeah, tell me the shift.
Me and money, we play.
Oh, tell me more.
Well, I think interestingly enough, when I visualize money now, it's not so much that it's someone else. It's actually my inner child, and it's my two inner children. One's 7 years old and one's 15 years old. These are whenever I feel attached to them, or whenever I feel connected to them, I feel that my money always feels better. It always feels more playful, and it's like we do it together. And so money for me is no longer, it doesn't feel external. Money for me shows up in experiences that I have now. So it's less the thing, and it's like the experience of it. So I think.
So tell me, can you describe that?
I feel like it's a value. It's a value that I hold now versus the attachment to, let's say it's a trip. It's not the attachment to the trip. It's the value that experience is going to create for me.
Ooh, so is it different in the way that you focus on it, or the way that you experience it while you're in it, or is it both?
I think it comes to the way that I hold it.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the first part of it, is the holding it, and then the value of, I think, receiving it. It's the receiving part back. When I value it and it comes back to me, and the receiving of it feels really loving, and it feels really beautiful, feels very abundant. Yeah, I want to say that's what it feels like. Almost this beautiful wave, or this beautiful cocoon type feeling.
So have you let go of the idea that it equals your worth?
I noticed it still come up, and I think it may always, right? It may always come up, but I notice it as it's very quiet now, and I have the ability, I have more awareness around it. So I'm able to redirect it. I'm able to notice when I'm trying to tell myself that if I don't do this thing, that means that I've failed and I'm not successful, and I can just redirect a lot quicker. So it's still there. It's like it's an old friend that just keeps coming up. Like, okay, come for the ride. Thanks for coming. Yes. Thanks for the reminder, but get in the back seat, buckle in, we're gone.
Now, do you think that's how you transmuted that shift from money and success equals my self-worth into money is a value, right? It's like less attached. It's more playful. Would you say the way that you've made that shift is through, like I said, it's like an old friend, or I'm holding space. It sounds like you held space for that part of you that believed that your self-worth was attached to it. Or was there something you let go of? Like, how did you release that is what I'm asking.
I feel like it was letting go of a belief, letting go of, I think, expectation that I'd had from childhood, and just hearing that voice of my mother in behind saying, the things that she would say. And I think a lot of that was just letting that go and reminding my inner child that that's just not true. Like, we're all good, we're safe. It's not true anymore. And allowing her story still to drop in, but just not letting it go any further with it, and just reminding us that, we don't have to believe that anymore.
I love that. What did you reprogram your brain to believe? What did you decide on purpose you wanted to believe in? What did you choose? And really, where are you at now?
So I'm in this era at the moment I'm calling it my investor era. She's very wise. And I think, oh my gosh, if my past self had heard me speaking right now, she'd be laughing at her, going, "What? You're not an investor? Don't be ridiculous." But for me, the belief that had to shift was, why not me? I believed I don't think I ever believed it or actually hoped. And I still notice it in myself. It's like, I've just got to $1 million and I can feel my high achiever pushing it down. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Like, no one really cares. It's not $5 million. It's not $10 million. And so I have to really redirect that, that part of me that wants to downplay it by celebrating it and recognizing how far we have actually come. Yeah. And then, why not me? Why can't I earn $5 million? Why not? I love how you always say, when I was birthed into this world, I was not stamped with a not worthy sign.
Yeah. 100%. So good. You said your mom, you took on some conditioning around wealthy people are, what was it, greedy?
Filthy rich.
Filthy rich. Okay. And what do you believe now about rich people?
What do I believe now? Ooh, haven't actually thought about that. Rich people. I think rich people don't have victim mentality. I think rich people think differently. I think rich people take courageous action. I think rich people are willing to fail more than a lot of other people. I think rich people have more fun. I think those are my new beliefs, is that rich is fun, rich is playful, rich is experimenting, rich is okay. There's nothing wrong with being rich.
Mic drop. I love these. How fun is that?
Never actually thought about that question before, so that's even quite surprising for me.
Well, the reason I asked is you've obviously reprogrammed that by being in this investor era and being able to receive what you have. You've let go of that conditioning that it's like filthy rich and, because the protector part wouldn't let yourself receive what you have without shifting that. So it's fun to play with and see what's in there. I love the new programming.
So do I.
Yeah. So I have one kind of final question that I know people will probably be at. Well, I might have more, but we'll see. I definitely want to ask you, a lot of people who struggle with debt kind of don't know how to get out of that mentality. And you obviously have, right? So what was it that allowed you not to go back into debt after the bankruptcy? Because a lot of people file for bankruptcy and then they go right back into their old ways. How did you do that without, or maybe you did feel completely restricted, but a lot of people are like, oh, if I'm going to get out of debt, I'm going to feel restricted. I don't even know how to do it without it. Like, can you share more on what you shifted to be able to stay out?
I think when I did my timeline and I really looked back, the thing that stood out the most for me was when I learn more, I earn more. When I think about my process for how I got out of debt, every time I learnt something new, it almost translated into income. So it was like whenever I grew, so my capacity grew, which means our cup grows, which means we can fill it more, right? We can fill it with, obviously hopefully money, but we can fill it with new things. And I even was listening to Jim Rohn, the godfather of self-development, where he talks about the best skill we could ever have is the one in developing ourselves. I could probably made a hash of that, but something around, change and not chance. So we have to learn more skills if we want to grow as a person. And I think every time I focused on changing me, focusing on what my patterns were, getting really good awareness around what my patterns were, that was how I was able to then go, oh, great, I know what my pattern is now. Now what do I want to do about it? What do I need to learn? Who needs to help me with that? who do I need to be around? And of course, that beginner's mindset of, you know what, I don't know what I don't know until I know it. And right now I know that I've got a pattern of behavior that keeps pulling me back and I need to figure it out. And I think that's the thought is I need to figure this out.
So good. Oh my God. I have never heard that. And it was such a truth bomb. Like I felt that, like, as Oprah would say, aha moment of like, when I learn more, I earn more. Oh my gosh, I love that as a mantra, because I think that could be such good advice for the person who feels really stuck, right? Who feels like, I've been dealing with this forever. It's like, maybe the recipe is like just deciding to have a beginner's mind with it. Decide that you don't know what you don't know yet. An opportunity is to learn. What can you learn? Right? I think that's so magical. I'm going to take that thought, in fact.
And you got to be careful, though, because a high achiever will go learn more. Let's go all the way down the rabbit hole and let's learn more.
We're not going to like every certification under the sun. So tell us, what would you suggest to the person who does feel stuck with that kind of mentality and idea? What would the true suggestion, not just like going and getting more certifications for the sake of like being a high achiever?
Well, I think what was interesting, I was listening to, you had a podcast the other day with Jermaine on it, and she talks about, and I forget this from coaching, right, is having a protocol. So it's learning something and then having a boundary around that and having a protocol. How much am I going to learn? And then the most important step is always the implementation. And I think you teach in manifestation, you know, what if the implementation part is taking courageous action? What's one thing that I can do to make this situation better? What's one thing I can learn? Who's one person that can help me do this? And now that we've got AI, like we can even, you know, it wasn't like 16 years ago where I could just Google, give me 5 strategies for, you know, learning or earning or what. Like now we have access. We can ask amazing questions. We can and get amazing results back from AI. I will preface that with I was like, obviously, get a coach. Because that's what blew my world open. It started with Brooke Castillo, then it was you, and then it was Lindsay, and then all the other coaches that have followed. I have learned so much from every single one of them, and that has made the difference. Like it felt at the time, it just felt slow and clunky, and I didn't really know where it was going. I just knew that I had a very clear vision of I just don't want to be stuck in this mess. And I do want to learn how to manifest better things for my life. I had to just take that messy, courageous action and just keep putting one foot in front of the other. And that identity piece of who am I becoming every year? Who am I becoming? What's my key word for the year? What's my key mission? What's my song of the year? What's my ballad for the year? Who am I going to be with this? And really, every time is thinking about our future self, and not being pulled back by the past and by what you were taught, and getting caught in those behavior patterns. So I definitely think that's, you've got so many resources now to be able to get unstuck or get yourself out. It's not allowing our brain to get on this tangent of I don't know how. Because then we lose all our creativity and we lose all our inspiration and our motivation and our possibility, right?
Totally. Yep. And isn't that what it's about? It's just learning, growing, evolving, who you're becoming. Like you said, if it didn't happen in that way, like you wouldn't have stepped into the authenticity that you're in now. Like it would not be as rich. So that's amazing.
We talk about quantum leaping, and I remember being in it, like trying to quantum leap, like I was, like trying to physically leap. It sounds ridiculous.
Force yourself into it. Make it happen.
I'm like, come on, where's this leap coming from? Where is it? Where is it? But it's so funny when you look back and you just have to laugh at yourself, otherwise you cry. It did feel really, really slow for ages, but it's like the last 18 months, I just feel the more of that inner work that I did, it's getting quicker and quicker every time now. So, and that's because my brain's on board, my protectors aren't protecting the heck out of me. The parts of me I'm learning to work with them rather than against them. It's just the last 18 months in particular, the last 2 years has really just gone woof, like a massive, massive curve, a little bit like compounding interest. You can't see it at the beginning, when you've put your $1,000 in, you get like, it feels tiny. But if you were to wait 10 years or 20 years to see what the compounding effect of that is, it shoots up. I think it's the same as the inner work. It's the same as self-development. The more, if you keep on top of it and just keep chipping away every year, you do get the compound effect of all of that knowledge, all of the people that you've learned from, all of the skills that you've learned just keep opening you up. Like I, hands down, would not have got my current full-time role in my career. I would not have got this role if it wasn't for all the other work that I had put into myself and the certifications and the messiness and the ugliness, the ugly crying and all the coaching. I hands down would not be the same person. I would probably not have what I've got, or maybe I would, but it would have taken me another 10 years to get there.
I know. And when we're in it, it's so hard to believe that that's going to happen in the future because it just feels sometimes so messy, so slow in the moments or in the season, or we're, setting goals and maybe not reaching them. And it can feel so hard, but that foundational work is so necessary. That's why I think it's so powerful to have a coach, because they can hold your hand through it. They know it, right? When someone else knows, okay, we're in the foundational phase. This is the building and it will happen. And that's why that saying occurs, overnight success, 10 years in the making, because it really is the compound effect of all that foundational work that you do and just showing up even when you don't see the results happening or when it's not happening as fast as your ego wants it. So Lauree, you're such an inspiration. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your story. And, I love you so much. And I'm just so grateful you're in my world and that you were my student. And then I've gotten to coach you and just watch you just grow in such a massive way and become. And I just love you. So thank you.
No,
thank you for being here
I love
and sharing
you too.
this.
Right back, my favorite person in the whole wide world. Let's do the next 10 years together.
Yeah, I was just going to say, okay, whenever I interview you in 10 years, what are you going to be like? Oh my God, I can't even believe. What do you think that might look like? Like, what would be a dream come true? If we were to just think like one thing or two things.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm kind of living my dream life at the moment with all this traveling that I'm doing. So I definitely want to have, I would love to see $10 million in my bank. Travel left, right, and center. Like, oh, where should we go? Let's go visit Jamie and Maui. Like,
yes, please.
Yeah, I see for myself. I do have $1 million business, coaching business, empowerment business. I want to be helping people. I know that's what I'm destined to do. I know that I've been through what I've been through to have the experience, to have the stories that I can share with other people. I wouldn't have been put in coach land if I wasn't supposed to be a coach. So I want to use all of that. And I see helping people, bringing people together, lots of money, lots of abundance, lots of traveling. I see all those things, right? And more healing for myself and for the people around me. So that's what I visualize. It's not really specific, but I kind of know.
We're putting it out there. It's done. It is done. I can't wait to listen in 10 years and we'll be like, oh my gosh, that's all I was asking for.
It's so
totally
true.
Happened years ago.
It's so true. I think 10 years ago, I was just asking not to be in debt. And now I'm like, what? Yes. I should have just asked for more.
Yeah, I love it so much. Amazing, Lauree. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.